Alright, so here's my top 5 geeky TV shows. Before I begin, The Big Bang Theory is not on this list because it is not particularly good, and that is coming from someone who has watched at least 5 seasons of it. I appreciate it for bringing geek culture further into mainstream media, but other than that, it hasn't got much going for it. Also, I haven't watched every geeky TV show there is, and so things may be left off of this list which you may believe are more than worthy. Therefore, honourable mentions go to Star Trek and its many iterations, The X-Files and Battlestar Galactica. Anyway, let's begin. Number 6. Spaced. If you like the films Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and The World's End, then you'll know that they are all directed by Edgar Wright, they star Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and that they are all brilliantly funny. Rewind time a few years and you can see the origin of this winning formula in the form of this series. Spaced is a wonderful show about a geek and a girl moving in together, and from there, the geeky references don't stop. There's a lot of Star Wars and comic book references to feast your eyes and ears on, and it's just all round great. Number 5 is The Walking Dead. Although I think the graphic novels are way better, the show is still pretty good. If you like zombies, you'll love this show, even though they aren't called zombies on the show. Some of the storylines are done excellently. It's got a huge following online, as do most of the shows on this list, and the one thing it has which the comics doesn't have is number 1 BAMF Daryl Dixon. I feel like this topic could easily get derailed by me getting off track and ranting about how good the books are, but I'll try my best to leave it and move on. You should definitely read the books though. If you can't get them, then the show is a good substitute. Number 4 is Arrow. Arrow started off as a pretty mediocre show, but since the end of its first season, it's become brilliant, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. It has even spawned The Flash, which is another awesome DC series. I recommend both shows, but Arrow has been on for longer, so that is why it takes this place on the list. This show has birthed the DC TV universe, and that universe is pretty awesome. Except for Gotham, which is incredibly disappointing. Come on, DC. But moving on. Number 3, Breaking Bad. Although there's nothing particularly geeky about this show, it's become a big hit with geeks all over the world. Many Forbidden Planets even have a section dedicated to Breaking Bad merchandise. This show is one of my favourites, period. Walter White is also one of the greatest characters of all time. His transformation is epic. I feel so lucky to have been alive as the show was airing. Okay, well maybe that's a tad over dramatic, but I genuinely don't think that anything will be quite as good as Breaking Bad in the upcoming years. Better Call Saul is pretty good. Not quite Breaking Bad level, but still worth checking out. Not on this list, but still worth checking out. Breaking Bad, number 3. Weighing in at number 2 is Doctor Who. This is a show that's been going for over 50 years, and it stars an alien that is over 1,000 years old. And also, instead of dying, he just changes his appearance and personality. Now isn't that neat? It's widely considered one of the best sci-fi shows of all time, and for a good reason. 50 years of backstory can be pretty intimidating, but thankfully back in 2005 the BBC did a reboot of sorts. So really, if you were to start watching now, you'd only have 10 years worth of story to catch up on. A load of people have watched this show, so if you have, who's your favourite Doctor? Leave it in the comments. Mine's David Tennant or Matt Smith. And so here we are. Number 1. Number 1 is a show that was inevitably going to be on this list. It was also one of the greatest tragedies of TV history. It's Firefly. And the tragedy being that the horrible folks at Fox couldn't see Joss Whedon's genius and went and cancelled it after one incredible season.
No power in the verse can stop me.
Oh yeah? Well, what about low TV ratings? Seriously, there is a reason why my fellow geeks and I are still furious about the whole affair. The show had so much potential, and Mal is a great character and captain. Firefly is simultaneously sci-fi and western. I know that sounds pretty fascinating, and that's because it is. You might think that those things won't go well together, but they really, really do. I really can't stress how much of a genius I think Joss Whedon is. After all, he also created Buffy the Vampire Slayer and directed the Avengers movies. He created such an incredible world with his show, and it could have went anywhere, which is why it sucks that it got cancelled. In fact, the fans' backlash at the cancellation even got a movie made. Serenity is the film that ties up all the loose ends from the show, and it is also awesome. If you're looking for a show to watch, then I highly recommend just binge watching through all of Firefly. It's so good, you won't regret it. Writing about the show has given me an urge to watch it again, so I'll probably go do that now. I'll be like a leaf on the wind. Watch me so...